Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right!
Howdy howdy, Sudevil here, and welcome to another Dwarf versus High Elf battle featuring eumaies generaling the Dwarfs in a tournament versus Rigson generaling the High Elves. Now Rigson's an extremely good player, eumaies is an extremely good player, and this is in a tournament. And before I get too much into this, I have seen in many places that this build from Rigson is really tough to beat, a very, very strong build, and we'll see how eumaies build fares. Now, this is a bit of a departure from the builds that we've seen eumaies use with the heavy trollhammer torpedo builds. This is still has fairly similar front lines, but has a different midline. So what eumaies is using in this build is 4 units of dwarf warriors with great weapons up in his front line, really to get in that extra AP damage. And on his sides he does have some dwarf warriors, and he does also have some dwarf warriors back here to protect his rear. He has 4, count them, 4 bolt throwers. Now I know a lot of you guys really love bolt throwers, and I love bolt throwers. They're very inexpensive. They're excellent against infantry. They can get chip damage against large, really, really nice. And he does have 1 cannon. So 5 pieces of artillery, 3,000 gold worth our artillery. Artillery is all in. He does have 5 thunders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of thunders, and they're widespread to get in the damage. He does have 1 unit of hammers for those heavy hitters, and his leadership, as always, is a runesmith with the Rune of Wrath and Rune for the slow and the damage, and the Hammer of Carrick draws for the minus 44 melee attack for 50 seconds with the minus 25% melee damage, and he has a Rune Lord on foot with just the Master Rune of Wrath and Rune. Now this build by Rigson, which is a nice, very nice build, has 4 Eagle Claw bolt throwers. Now, Eagle Claw bolt throwers are probably the best anti-artillery in the game. They have excellent aim, they have decent range at 380, and they usually can get the job done in the artillery versus artillery. And usually you see 2 Eagle Claw bolt throwers if you see them in High Elf builds. So I'm sure eumaies was expecting to really dominate that artillery matchup. But clearly that is going to be a very, very interesting fight. For his main line, he has 5 white lines of trace, including the Pure Main Company. And the Pure Main Company has armor sundering of 30 for 10 seconds, but really the main thing is they have this Guardian for 15% physical resistance, and the extra stats of being Regiment Renowned, and he does have the Swordmaster, 1 group of Swordmasters of Hoeth for his main line. Of course, he has 2 groups of Noble Chariots, and those Noble Chariots have Foe Seeker for the 24% extra speed and 18% vigor, along with the Sacred Incense for the 12% missile resistance, which is going to help them against thunders very specifically, and other Dowie ranged. And he also has Alariel the Radiant on a horse with the kit you would expect. Star of Avalon for the massive heals, Arcane Conduit for the magic, Earthblood for the heals, and the 2 proc abilities. So every time she casts a spell, map-wide, every unit on the entire map gets 11% damage resistance for 9 seconds, and a map-wide heal for 5 seconds. So really, really strong build for the High Elves, and a strong build for the Dwarfs. So we're going to get to watch this go. And first of all, the High Elves, you can see, the High Elves already have everything in range. You can see the High Elves range is right here already, but the High Elves are actually going to come in, and they're going to focus down, start focusing down the bolt thrower, the artillery for the Dowie. The Dowie got to go a little closer because these bolt throwers are only 340 range, so they're going to take some shots going in. Fortunately, the cannon at 440 range is going to be able to take getting damage from a lot further away, and you can see already killing one of the Dowie artillery units models right there. And eumaies, as he does like to do, is going to try to get up here with his Rune Lord and his Runesmith to try and cast Rune of Wrath and Rune on kind of like the Swordmasters of Hoeth, the Pure Main Company, kind of something like that. But he's really got to be careful because these nobles are kind of in and around and circling the area, and nobles will do a number. You can see here already down to 1 model out of 3, and that they are not going to last very long. And that is that's going to be it very, very soon for this bolt thrower. Already down to 1 model out of 3. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, but there it goes. I think that's it. Nope. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's now it. Now, really, this is just a skirmish fight. He has gotten a shot into the nobles, but eumaies does want to get up and start to get that early damage with his runes. So he's going to come up and try and attempt it again. He is focusing. He's got 1 Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower model. The Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower has gone on to another target. This bolt thrower over here, the cannon is shooting, and really this skirmish is back and forth skirmishing over here is just continuing to go on. So with the bolt thrower, now he's going after this Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. These guys are now down to 2 out of 3 models, and again, just going through the front are these guys, but he's going to be able to get close enough. He's going to try to get close enough, and these guys are just running away. Rigzin is a really, really good player. He knows what eumaies is trying to do. He knows he's just trying to get some early damage with his runesmith, and then he sort of says, let's just, these guys are coming up, let's just go for it. So here comes the Rune of Wrath and Rune. The Rune Lord is coming. He's going to get a Master Rune of Wrath and Rune. We've got this bolt thrower down to 2 out of 3 models. Sorry, now 1 out of 3 models. And as soon as they're done with this bolt thrower, he's going to come onto the cannon, and these bolt thrower backline has 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3, 3 out of 3, and 2 out of 3. So really, the High Elf artillery is showing its quality right now. So eumaies is going to try and get up closer and start getting some early shots in. So these shots are going to do a ton of damage. The Thunders were really, really strong here against these unshielded infantry. Now they have these guys have 30% missile resistance in a wide formation, but they are going to take a lot of damage from Thunders because it is all armor piercing. He's got these Thunders up. He's kind of just coming back to try and pick the spot where he wants to take the engagement. Unfortunately, he's going to get absolutely run over by these nobles. I mean, there's not really much he can do. Nobles with chariots are very, very good, and they're going to just kind of pop through, and they're going to start going through now. Now, eumaies really has to deal with this big income. We got 4 units coming up here of infantry, and only 2 on this side. So he's got to keep all of his power focused right in here to do his best to stop everything that's going on. Meanwhile, these chariots are going through, so he's got things focused on the chariot. He has taken a few shots at Lariel the Radiant. He's got another Rune of Wrath and Rune on the Swordmasters of Hoeth, and the battle in the artillery battle continues. With now we have 2 out of 3 cannons. So he's gotten rid of 2 full bolt thrower units, and he's got rid of 1 out of 3 cannons. Now here is a break. Now this may not look like a Dowie making a break for it, because the dwarfs are slow, but this is a Dowie break. Look at this. This dwarf unit has got around the back. He's going to go up towards those Eagle Claw bolt throwers. Lariel the Radiant's going to try and come in here. He has trapped the Thunders, but we've got 2 units of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. And in on this side, coming in real hard, he's got the Camera of Character Oz and the White Lions of Trace. They got 0 melee attack, and so they can't really do much to the Runesmith. He has gone in for a charge with his hammers. He's holding here strong with the Dwarf Warriors' great weapons, and he's continued to try and shoot with the Thunders. Now these nobles, are just going, there's kind of like ping-ponging from here to here to here to here. You can just see them going back and forth between all the units. They're continuously moving, and these Eagle Claw bolt throwers are continuing to do damage. I think there's still 2 out of 3 cannons left, but you can see the shots are going back there pretty steadily. And he actually has taken some shots at this bolt thrower too. The noble is just going back and forth on these Thunders, and they do have that missile resistance up here. Big break. The Swordmasters of Hoeth have Master Rune of Wrath and Rune on them, and they have now routed. These guys have routed. These guys are still fighting, but in comes the hammers to sandwich them between the Dwarf Warriors. Still the nobles going back and forth on this side. The Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are getting beat down, but we got another Rune of Wrath and Rune in the Pyrmane Company, and the Rune Lord is fighting here. It's not the best place, but he's got to do something. Has to hold him, and over here is the big break. Now, I'm just going to stop here because this is an absolute beautiful Dowie move. This unit started way back here, came up here with his, he got 28 speed? 28 speed, came up here, moved up here, and now has literally flanked the whole High Elf army and has gotten into the back line and is eating up the High Elf artillery. This is a beautiful Dowie move that all of you out there as fans of the Dowie should be absolutely proud of. 3 cheers for eumaies for doing a long flank with Dwarf Warriors to get into the artillery. This is an absolute beastly move. I love it. And also coming as a runesmith over here, he is getting a bit beat up by that noble, but you can see eumaies has managed to clear off this. This was really, really big. There's a lot of units in here. You can see the units that are routing. They're going to come back. But now all 4 of his thunders are online. Or where's he? I thought he had 5. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 or 5 are online, and 1 is actually he's just got to see it and get it pushed back a little bit. That's all he has to do. And inside here is fighting Alarielle, but you can see that's really big because look, he can just shoot this noble. He's got everything focused in on the noble, including the cannon, just getting shots in there. He has been able to rout the pure main company, and his rune lord is holding up the white lines of trace. Like, what the High Elves really want to do, these white lines, they need to get in here and get onto these thunders. That's really where things start to get really crushing. But eumaies has been able to hold that off, and he has gotten his dwarf warriors in here, killing this Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, pulling these guys off. Now the runesmith is coming, and he has completely collapsed the High Elf artillery with a runesmith and a unit of dwarf warriors, which has been absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to put this in play again. You can see here, again, I think these guys are down to 1. Yep. These cannons are down to 1, and he still has the dwarf warriors here. He is going to bring them up to the front line very soon, but we've still got two bolt throwers going here, and they're still trying to get a hold of this noble. So now he's focused onto this noble. He's got this thunder is now clear, so he's got 5 units of thunders, all still firing. Just this giant middle gap is owned by the Dowie. Now there are some units of white lines come back. These guys are going to get routed, but these thunders being online is absolutely critical. Really, really huge for the Dowie, and you can see they're shooting into these white lines, they're shooting into this noble. They're really getting a lot of work done in that center pocket, and even though he's down to 1 unit of cannons and 1 unit of bolt throwers, there's going to be a very, very beautiful move by eumaies here. Now, if I don't catch it, just keep your eye on it, because it's actually really pretty. This bolt thrower is going to run out of ammo, and eumaies is going to take these guys off their bolt thrower, and he's going to put this bolt thrower on because they still have ammo. This is actually a gorgeous move. I didn't want to miss it because sometimes I miss these things when I see them in my pregame. I watch the games like 3 or 4 times, and I really want to watch it. That's a really beautiful move. In the center pocket, though, eumaies had done a great job with the Dwarf Warriors and the Rune Lords of just combining them with Runes of Wrath and Rune to get in here. Now, the Rigson knows he's got to get rid of these thunders, so he's doing everything he can. He's got the Star of Avalon. He's coming in here to try and get rid of them, but there's so much pressure because there's other thunders that are actually in range. So he's trying to use Alarielle to get these guys to rout them off, and then he can come back and try and rout one off one at a time. And you can see back to the old tricks. He's going to go here, and then here and here, and really try and keep that going. But this side is completely collapsed. Everything here is routing. So eumaies is going to see that, and he's going to be able to bring these guys back into his main army, and this entire side of the battle is essentially won for eumaies. Now we've got this noble, even though he's got an Earthblood, he's getting very close to his healing cap. He's struggling. Alarielle, the Radiant, does have a lot of health left, but all of her troops are gone at this point. This pocket, which was really critical, has resolved. He's going to come in and get onto the bolt thrower, but it really not much is going to matter. These guys are not on their bolt throwers. This guy's going to rout very soon, and he's got everything he needs to fight this noble, and has a full unit of active, fresh dwarf warriors here that are going to come in and get onto that noble. And you can see everything's focused on the noble now. Alarielle can try and get enough for another heal, but it really isn't going to matter at this point. You can see the balance of power going, and here's that unit, a full ammo unit of bolt throwers now shooting into the noble over there, along with all the thunders. There's really not much left. These thunders have come back. There are some units that will come back eventually, but you can see the Dowie are just, eumaies is just being careful, making sure nothing can get back to what they want. He's got plenty to deal with this noble, and now plenty to deal with Alarielle, and now I think he wants to make sure he kills this noble or shatters it, and there he goes. He's got it killed. Now everything can now go to change to, yeah, there he's changing absolutely everything to Alarielle, making sure these guys can't get on their bolt throwers, making sure these guys are routed with that bolt thrower crew, no less. Those boys used all their ammo. Now they're chasing some white lines to chase off the field. I absolutely love it. Alarielle is about to rout. Amazing, beautiful, lovely game by eumaies against an amazing player himself in Rigson, who you've seen lots of tournaments, a really, really strong player with a really strong build. So this has everything you want to see in a match where you have two great players with two great builds and two ideas battling it out. Now, the Dwarfs brought a total of these bolt throwers are 550 and the cannon is 800, so that's a total of 3,000 gold worth of artillery, and these Eagle Claw bolt throwers are 700, so 4 times 700 is 2,800. So they both had about the same amount of artillery, but it's fair to say the High Elves won the artillery duel until these Dwarf warriors, these heroes, these absolute heroes, came in and routed all three of those healthy Eagle Claw bolt throwers along with this runesmith. It was an absolutely devastating move that changed the battle, because these guys could have continued to get after the other bolt thrower and the other cannon and then gone on to the thunder. So beautiful, beautiful move there. And really nice by eumaies keeping his Rune Lord and his Runesmith active. That Hammer of Karak draws was able to let his Runesmith fight White Lions, and he was able to let Dwarf Warriors fight White Lions very, very nicely. Like, they put a ton of damage on them. That really won one fight completely. Allowed them to really do a good job on that side. The Rune Lord got into the fight with the White Lions of Trace on the other side as well. 29-0. These dwarf warriors were really defending the cannon to the end. 23, 31, 44, and 42. Very good performance by the dwarf warriors with great weapons, especially considering what they were fighting. White Lions of Trace and Swordmasters of Hoeth. Like, that is an outstanding performance, especially if you've been around for our testing. Really, really well done by eumaies, putting those guys to maximizing their performance in this battle. 108 kills by the Hammers. Excellent performance by them. Again, no slouches on this matchup. Really, when you look at the Thunders, 15, 8, 12, 6, and 1, what the damage was mostly against was obviously the nobles, and they were picking off and helping get rid of White Lions here and there and a few units here and there. Really, really strong performance. Now, along with, obviously, the bolt thrower. So the bolt thrower is 7, 3, 0, 25, and 20. And this 0 got absolutely obliterated by the Eagle Claw bolt throwers. 20 with the cannon. Now, eumaies did periodically slide his target onto the nobles and a few other targets along the way, and so once he sort of was losing that counter battery fight, really he switched his targets, but then amazingly was able to get a unit of dwarf warriors all the way around on a long flank onto the artillery. So nothing's impossible in this world, folks. Nothing's impossible in this world. Now, for Riggson's High Elf army, 21 with Alariel. He obviously was very careful with Alariel. Probably could have been a little bit more aggressive, but he wanted to keep her away from those Thunders. Absolutely understand that, but it is what it is. 63 and 116. Really, he was focusing on keeping his nobles active, healed, and ping-ponging around these Thunders. Like, almost all of those kills for the nobles, I mean, some were against dwarf warriors, but most of them were against Thunders. 63 and 116. Very, very good performance by them. 74, 43, 0, 63, 45 for the White Lions, and only 21 for those Swordmasters. So heavy focus against the Swordmasters. And this is something that we see time and time again. You have to focus those Swordmasters, because if they hit your line with their martial prowess and you let them do damage, they will absolutely obliterate dwarf lines. You got to be really focused on them. 15, 18, 10, and 5 with the Eagle Claw bolt throwers, and an absolutely fantastic game. We've seen some games this week, and we have one more High Elf game coming tomorrow with another build, a very, very strong matchup as well. So I've seen some in the comments really looking to those those dense Thunder builds. Again, another bolt thrower. Like, this isn't a ton of gold. 700 for the Thunders is 3,500 plus 550 for the bolt throwers is only 2,200. So, I mean, these guys are relatively inexpensive, and only 800 for the cannon. For a lot of firepower. Just a massive amount of firepower. Very, very good to see how they performed in there. And this was against an outstanding build by Riggson. Like, he is like, I mean, if you pay attention to the multiplayer scene at all, you know how good he is. He's fantastic, and he's in tournaments and a really strong player and active player in chat and thinking like that. So really fun to watch two great players go at it with two great builds in an idea fighting idea, which is really, really good to see. The High Elves did win the artillery battle right up until our hero Dwarf warriors got into the back, but eumaies was able to win that inside the pocket battle, really, and he was able to push back against the white lines and not let any of them. Well, only one of them got through the entire time, but he was able to handle it. So really, really strong performance, because that is a massive bubble to protect, and eumaies was able to protect it. So I would love to hear from you guys. I always ask for comments because I love them all. What did you think of the build? What did you think of this match? I just loved every second of it, and I love the little things. Like the little things are what when you see them are what make matchups, make battles really entertaining. And like that little move that eumaies did, taking his one bolt thrower that ran out of ammo off their artillery piece and putting the other bolt thrower that had ammo, and using the one that ran out of ammo to chase off routing white lions. Like, these are kind of things that are just they're just next level gameplay, and I love watching it. Anyways, I hope you found this battle interesting, and I will see you soon.